If you watched the last video, where I talked about zero-point energy, disclosure, and the coming age of post-scarcity, then you already understand the core idea. The real disruption is not the technology itself. It's the transition. It's the period where the old systems stop working the way they used to, and the new systems are not ready yet. That gap is where people get hurt. So this video is not about speculation or theory. It's about what it actually takes to get through a period of rapid change without being forced into bad decisions. Not apocalypse, not collapse fantasy, or fear porn, just transition. Before I go any further, let me tell you who you're listening to. My name is Jeff Morgan. I was trained as a cultural anthropologist. I'm a former Army intelligence analyst, a former private investigator, and an author. Most of my adult life has been spent watching systems under stress and watching how people behave when the rules they relied on quietly stop working. I've seen what happens to people who assume stability will return on its own, and I've seen what happens to people who prepare for change itself. I'm talking to you because I want you to be in the second group. When I say survival here, I want to be very precise. I am not talking about living through a single catastrophic event. I am talking about staying functional, solvent, and out of the way while systems become unreliable. This looks like grocery stores that are open, but inconsistently stocked. Fuel that is available, but at unpredictable prices or locations. Utilities that work, but not always. Rules that exist, but are enforced unevenly. Information that changes faster than you can verify it. Nothing looks like an emergency at first, but your margin keeps shrinking. And once margin is gone, every problem becomes urgent. I want to add one thing here, because this isn't just my opinion. There's a basic idea in anthropology that humans don't survive because they predict the future correctly. They survive because they adapt faster than conditions change. Human intelligence, in practice, shows up as flexibility. The ability to change behavior when the old rules stop working. Everything I'm talking about here fits inside that idea. Preparation, margin, discretion, positioning. It's all about preserving the ability to adapt instead of being forced into bad decisions. Here's how transitions usually unfold. Something small stops being reliable. It might be a supply item you suddenly can't find, like medication. That could be catastrophic. A service that now requires extra steps, like getting ration coupons for food or fuel. A cost that jumps without warning, like hiring someone to fix your plumbing. We experienced something like this a few years ago. 2020, you remember. Most people assume it's temporary. They wait. Weeks go by. Explanations change. Confidence erodes. At some point, enough people realize they might lose access to something they depend on. That's when behavior changes. People start driving farther to find what they need. They start standing in lines that didn't exist before. They start arguing with clerks, neighbors, and officials. They start making decisions in public, under stress, surrounded by other stressed people. Pressure builds. Moving about starts to become dangerous. Not because society collapsed, but because people are exposed, desperate, and in the open. Preparedness is not abstract. It is deeply tied to place. Dense population centers amplify every failure. When systems wobble, cities don't fail first because they're immoral or weak or badly run. They fail first because too many people depend on too few systems that have often already stopped working. High density means more competition for food, fuel, and services, more visible enforcement, more surveillance, more stressed people in closer proximity. Subtract close proximity and you remove a lot of danger. Distance buys time. It gives you a chance to react or, even better, not react foolishly. That doesn't mean everyone needs to live in the wilderness. It means you should understand how close you are to crowds, supply bottlenecks, transportation choke points, aggressive enforcement zones. Small towns often outperform suburbs during instability because they have lower density and stronger informal networks. Some rural areas are worse than cities because they lack services and rely on long supply chains. Place is not about ideology. It's about friction. Let's talk about supplies. It's not complicated. Food storage is not about eating well during collapse. It's about not being forced into public spaces when shelves are empty. You don't want to be the person standing at the back of an army truck hoping you can escape with an MRE. Water storage is not about paranoia. It's about not trusting systems that fail abruptly. City water is untrustworthy, but well water may be inaccessible if your power goes out. Energy backups are not about independence fantasies. If you have a generator to operate your well and your neighbors don't, it probably wouldn't be wise not to share. Partly because you don't want to deal with desperate people, and partly because you should want to come through the crisis with your soul intact. Medical supplies should be in order. It would be better if you were in good health, but if you need a pill to live, make sure you have a stockpile. Do this sooner than later. Medical systems collapse faster than anything. The common thread here is time. Having your own store gives you time. Stored resources give you time to wait, observe, and decide the best course of action. People without time are forced to react. And reaction under pressure is how people get hurt and hurt others. This is uncomfortable to say. I don't want to dash your confidence. Partial preparedness is often worse than none. People who are half prepared often take bigger risks than people who are not prepared at all. They think they have enough until they don't. Then they wait too long. Then they move at the worst possible moment. Preparedness only works if it actually lets you stay put. If your supplies only cover a few days, you are still dependent on the system to stabilize quickly. A few days is not enough of a margin. It fails hope. Rapid change increases desperation. Desperation changes behavior. Most violence during unstable periods does not come from ideology. It comes from stress, scarcity, and people who waited too long. Security is not about confrontation. It's about discouraging attention. It's about not advertising vulnerability. It's about not being the easiest option in a bad moment. Prepared people design their lives so trouble passes them by. They don't go looking for it. A lot of modern knowledge only works inside stable systems. When systems wobble, different knowledge becomes valuable. Knowing how to fix things instead of replacing them. Knowing how to source food locally. Knowing how to treat minor injuries and illnesses. Knowing how to navigate bureaucracy without escalating. Knowing how to read people and situations accurately. Transitions reward generalists. The more things you can handle yourself, the fewer systems you depend on staying perfect. This matters more than most people want to admit. During rapid change, the wrong people become liability. People who panic early. People who deny reality until it's too late. People who broadcast resources. People who expect rescue. People who escalate every situation emotionally. You want people who prepare quietly, solve problems without attention, respect discretion, stay calm under uncertainty. You don't need a large group. You need the right few. Trust and competence matter more than numbers. This is where this video ties directly back to the last one. If post-scarcity technologies enter the world, they will not arrive cleanly. They will destabilize existing systems first. Jobs will disappear before new roles exist. Institutions will resist before they adapt. Old power structures will tighten control before loosening it. That transition period will be uneven and uncomfortable. The people who do best are not the ones chasing the future. They are the ones who stay intact while it arrives. Preparedness is not retreat. It is positioning. It is staying whole long enough to choose how you engage with what comes next. If the future is abundant, you want to be healthy enough to participate. If the transition is rough, you want to avoid unnecessary damage. Survival is not the destination. Survival is the bridge. I'm saying all of this because the transition is already underway. You can feel it. The rules are less stable. Institutions are less confident. Systems are more brittle. Ignoring that doesn't make it safer. Preparation is not fear. It is responsibility. It is margin. It is staying out of the blast radius while the world reorganizes. If you care about your future, this is how you protect your place in it. In the next video, I'm going to talk about another force that's going to accelerate everything we've been discussing. Artificial general intelligence. Not in terms of science fiction or fear, but in terms of how it compresses time, disrupts work, and removes the slow adjustment periods people have always relied on to adapt. If you're trying to understand why the pace of change feels different now, and why adaptability matters more than prediction, that's where we're going next. Thank you for listening and subscribe to follow this conversation.